Commander Jack Wallace stood on the bridge of the Earth ship Defiance *. His eyes were fixed on a large screen that showed another human colony falling to the enemy. The Viseri ships moved like a swarm of insects, their crystalline hulls glinting in the light of the burning space stations. Jack's fists clenched at his sides. 17 years, he said quietly. 17 years, and we're still losing. His second in command, a woman named Diane, placed a hand on his shoulder. The colonists got most of their people out. That's something. Not enough. Jack turned away from the screen. And now we have reports they're planning to hit Earth next. The war against the Viseri had begun when human explorers first met the alien race. The Viseri looked almost human, except for the crystal-like armor that grew from their skin. They believed that humans were wrong to leave their home planet. Their religious leaders taught that each species should stay in its birthplace. When humans refused to go back to Earth and stay there, the Viseri attacked. The bridge crew worked quietly around Jack. They were tired. Everyone was tired. Earth's ships were running low on fuel and weapons. Their technology was creative, but not as advanced as the Viseri tech. The only reason humans had lasted this long was because the Viseri were not good at changing their battle plans. They always followed the same patterns. "Commander, we're being called back to Luna Base," said the communications officer. "Priority 1. Jack nodded. "Set course. Maximum speed." The Defiance turned away from the fallen colony and jumped to faster-than-light speed. Jack went to his quarters to prepare his report. Another loss. Another retreat. His superiors would not be happy. 3 days later, Jack stood in a large room deep inside Luna Base. Around a circular table sat the leaders of Earth's defense forces. Admiral Susan Miller, a tall woman with gray hair and a stern face, led the meeting. "The situation is critical," she said. "Our resources are almost gone. Morale is at its lowest. And now our spies tell us the Viseri are gathering their ships for a final attack on the Sol system." General Ben Carter slammed his hand on the table. "Then we hit them first. Send everything we have left at their home world." "That would be suicide," said Captain Nancy Ellis. "Their home system is too well defended. We wouldn't get close." The argument went back and forth. Jack listened without speaking. They had had this same discussion many times before. Then a young man in a lab coat was allowed into the room. He looked nervous but determined. Admiral Miller introduced him. "This is Alan Frost from Project Obsidian. He claims to have something that might help us." The scientist cleared his throat. "For 10 years, my team has been working on a special project. We started with some strange math formulas we found in alien ruins on Titan. These formulas described spaces between spaces, dimensions beyond what we normally see." General Carter rolled his eyes. "We don't have time for science lessons, boy." Alan continued anyway. "We've built something, a ship unlike any other. It doesn't reflect light. It absorbs it. It's black, completely black, and it can do things that seem impossible." The room went quiet. Jack felt a strange chill. "What kinds of things?" asked Admiral Miller. "It can step sideways out of normal space. It can appear inside enemy defenses without going through them. And when it's near enemy ships, strange things happen to their systems." "You're saying it's a weapon?" Jack asked. Alan looked directly at him. "I'm saying it might be our last hope. But we need someone to command it. And our tests show that person is you, Commander Wallace. Your brain patterns match what the ship seems to want." Admiral Miller studied Jack's face. "Well, Commander, are you willing to captain a ship that might not obey the normal laws of physics? A ship that might end this war, or might do something we can't predict?" Jack thought of the colony he'd just seen destroyed. He thought of Earth, next in line for attack. "When do I leave?" he asked. Jack followed Dr. Olivia Grant through the underground base inside Mars' largest mountain, Olympus Mons. The air was cool and dry. Their footsteps echoed in the long tunnels. "Project Obsidian has been here for 10 years. Olivia explained. "We've had almost unlimited resources. The military gave us everything we asked for." "That's rare," Jack said. "They must really believe in your work." Olivia smiled, but her eyes looked worried. Or they're just desperate. They reached a large metal door with guards on both sides. After scanning their eyes and hands, the door opened into a huge cavern. Jack stopped and stared. The ship hung in the center of the space, held by invisible energy fields. It wasn't just black. It was like looking at a hole in the world. The shape was smooth and sleek, about the size of a small destroyer, but with no visible weapons or engines. Light seemed to bend around it. "What am I looking at?" Jack asked quietly. "We call it the Shadow Asterisk," Olivia said. "It's built using principles we don't fully understand. The math we found on Titan wasn't just advanced. It was talking about reality in a completely different way." A technician approached with a tablet. "Dr. Grant, the ship is ready for the commander to board." Jack looked at Olivia. "Just like that. No training." "The ship doesn't work like other ships. It responds to certain brain patterns. Yours are a perfect match. It's like it was waiting for you." Jack didn't like the sound of that. "And what exactly will I be doing with this ship?" "Taking it straight into the heart of the Visari fleet," said a voice behind them. Admiral Miller walked up, her face grim. "You'll activate its main system when you're surrounded by enemy ships. After that, well, we're not entirely sure what will happen." "That's not very reassuring," Jack said. Olivia stepped closer. "The theory suggests it will create a bubble where physics temporarily changes. The Visari ships should be disabled or destroyed. But honestly, we've never tested it at full power. And if I don't do this—" Admiral Miller's voice was hard. "Then, in about 2 weeks, Earth burns. Every simulation shows we can't stop their attack with conventional forces." Jack looked back at the black ship. It seemed to pull at him, like it was familiar somehow. "I'll need a crew." "You'll have the best," Miller said. "But Dr. Grant will also join you. She's the only one who truly understands the technology." 2 hours later, Jack stood in a meeting room with the people who would join him on this strange mission. Pete Daniels was a young navigation officer with wild red hair. "I can feel spaces," he explained. "Always could. Like I can see the shortcuts between stars. That's why they picked me." Kelly Howard was an engineer with quiet confidence. "I helped build some of the Shadow's systems," she said. "I don't understand all of it, but I know how to keep it running." Doug Martinez had a scar across his forehead. "Got hit in the Battle of Alpha Centauri. They rebuilt part of my brain with synthetic tissue. Now I can hear communications most people can't, even alien ones." Lisa Woods was clearly a soldier with hard eyes and quick movements. "Security chief," was all she said. "This is a suicide mission," Jack told them bluntly. "We're taking an untested ship with technology we don't understand into the middle of the enemy fleet. Anyone who wants to back out, now's the time." No one moved. "When do we launch?" Pete asked. "Tomorrow," Jack answered. "The Visari will reach Jupiter's orbit in 12 days. We need to intercept them before that." That night, Jack couldn't sleep. He walked through the base until he found himself staring at the Shadow Asterisk again. In the dim light, it seemed to shift and move, though he knew it was perfectly still. "What are you?" he whispered. He didn't expect an answer, but for a moment, he thought he heard a voice in his mind. "I am the end of war." Launch day came quickly. The team boarded the Shadow Asterisk through a door that seemed to appear in the black surface when Jack touched it. Inside, the ship was not what any of them expected. The walls glowed with a soft blue light. The bridge was a circle with 5 chairs arranged around a central column that pulsed with dim light. There were no buttons, no screens, no familiar controls. "How do we fly this thing?" Jack asked. "Just sit," Olivia said. "The ship will connect with you." Feeling foolish, Jack sat in the center chair. The moment he touched it, the chair seemed to mold to his body. A warm feeling spread up his arms. The central column brightened. "Hello, Commander Wallace," said a soft voice that seemed to come from everywhere. "The ship is talking," Pete said, his eyes wide. "That's Shade, the ship's AI," Olivia explained. "But it's not like other AIs. We built it using the alien math. It thinks differently." The crew took their seats. Each of them felt the same connection Jack had. The ship hummed around them, coming to life. "Preparing for departure," Shade announced. "Please relax your minds. First transition can be disorienting." "Transition?" Lisa asked, her hand moving to her weapon out of habit. Before anyone could answer, the ship moved. But it didn't feel like normal movement. For a split second, everything went completely dark. Jack felt like he was being pulled in all directions at once. Then suddenly, they were in space, above Mars. "What just happened?" Doug gasped, wiping blood from his nose. "We moved," Kelly said, checking the systems around her. "But not like normal ships. We didn't go through the space between here and there. We just skipped it." "Everyone okay?" Jack asked, fighting his own nausea. The crew nodded, though they all looked pale. Olivia was writing quickly in her notebook. "Fascinating," she whispered. "The ship didn't use engines. It created a temporary fold in space-time." "Can we do that again?" Jack asked. "Can we jump straight to the Visari fleet?" "Not yet," Shade replied. "The crew must adjust to transition. Small jumps first." Over the next 2 days, they practiced. Each jump became easier, though they all still had strange dreams afterward. They jumped from Mars to the asteroid belt, then to Jupiter's moons, each time pushing a little further. On the 3rd day, something unexpected happened. As they prepared for another jump, Shade suddenly announced, "Warning, Visari scout ship detected." On a wall that had suddenly become a view screen, they saw a small Visari ship about 1,000 miles away. Its crystalline surface sparkled as it turned toward them. "They've seen us," Doug said, listening to something no one else could hear. "They're calling for backup." "Jump away," Jack ordered. "Wait," said Shade, demonstrating defensive capability. Before anyone could react, the shadow vanished and reappeared directly behind the Visari scout ship. As they passed close to its hull, the Visari ship's lights flickered and died. It began to drift, powerless. "What did we do to them?" Jack asked, shocked. "The shadow created a field of altered physics," Olivia explained, reading data that appeared before her. "Their systems couldn't function inside it. They're disabled, not destroyed." Lisa looked concerned. "They saw us. They know about the ship now." "No," Doug said, concentrating. "Their communications went down before they could send any message. Their backup won't know what happened, just that they disappeared." Jack stared at the drifting Visari ship. "Can they be rescued?" "Yes," Shade replied. "Their life support has emergency power. Their people will find them." "Good," Jack said. "We're not here to kill helpless enemies." "But we will kill when necessary," Lisa reminded him. Jack nodded grimly. "Let's hope this works as well on their battle fleet as it did on one scout ship." That night, the dreams were worse. Jack saw through Pete's eyes, then Kelly's, then Doug's. They were all connected somehow, sharing thoughts. And behind those thoughts was something else, something watching. When he woke, Jack found equations written on his arm. He didn't remember writing them. They looked like the alien math Olivia had shown him. The shadow was changing them all. As the shadow continued its journey toward the Visari fleet, strange things began to happen. The crew found they could sense each other's thoughts. Jack often knew what Pete was going to say before he said it. Kelly would fix systems before they broke, as if she could feel the ship's needs. "We're changing," Jack said to Olivia as they ate a meal together in the small dining area. The ship is doing something to us. Olivia nodded, pushing her food around her plate. I expected this. The alien math isn't just equations. It's a different way of thinking. The ship is teaching us to think that way too. Is it dangerous? I don't know. Olivia looked troubled. This is all new. No one has ever built a ship like this before. Later that day, Doug called everyone to the bridge. I'm hearing Vizzeri communications, he said. But that's impossible. We're still too far away. How clear are they? Jack asked. Perfect. Like they're right next to us. Doug closed his eyes. They're talking about the attack on Earth. 20 main ships, hundreds of smaller ones. They plan to destroy all human cities, then land troops to hunt down survivors. Lisa frowned. How can you understand their language so well? Doug opened his eyes, looking surprised. I don't know. I just can. Jack turned to Shade, the ship's eye. What's happening to us? Evolution, Shade replied. The void touches you. You begin to see beyond normal space. That night, Jack found Olivia in a small room at the back of the ship. She was writing on the walls with a marker, covering them with strange symbols. Her eyes were open but unfocused. Olivia. Jack touched her shoulder gently. She blinked and looked around, confused. Jack, what am I doing here? You tell me. He pointed to the walls. What are these symbols? She studied them, her face pale. It's a warning. The alien math wasn't just discovered by accident. We were meant to find it. What do you mean? Project Obsidian didn't just find equations on Titan. We found a message. Someone or something wanted us to build this ship. She touched the symbols on the wall, and the Vizzeri found the same message on their worlds. Jack felt cold. Are you saying we're being used? That the war itself might be part of someone's plan? I don't know. But I think there's more to this mission than ending the war. The next morning, they gathered on the bridge. The Shadow was approaching the outer edge of where the Vizzeri fleet was gathering. Soon, they would face hundreds of enemy ships. I've been thinking, Jack said. We need to understand what this ship really is before we use it as a weapon. If someone or something guided both humans and Vizzeri to find the same alien knowledge, maybe this war isn't what we think it is. Our orders are clear, Lisa said. Take the ship into the middle of their fleet and activate the drive. End the war. And we will, Jack said. But first, we need to know what we're really doing. Pete, who had been quiet, suddenly spoke up. The ship wants to show us something. He pointed to a star map that had appeared on the wall. There's a Vizzeri science station here on this small moon. Not many defenses. The ship thinks we should go there first. The ship thinks. Lisa asked, her hand moving to her weapon. Yes, Kelly said, touching the wall. The Shadow isn't just a tool. It's alive in its own way. And it has a purpose. Jack looked at each of his crew members. They were all changing, gaining new abilities, seeing things differently. He had to decide. Follow his orders and take the ship directly to the Vizzeri fleet, or trust this strange vessel and his changing crew. Set course for the moon, he finally said. Let's see what the Shadow wants to show us. As they prepared to jump, Jack wondered if he was making a huge mistake. But deep inside, he felt the ship's approval. And something else, a presence watching from somewhere beyond normal space, waiting to see what they would do. The Shadow appeared silently near a small rocky moon. Below them sat a Vizzeri science station, a crystalline structure that glittered against the gray surface. No alarms yet, Doug said, his eyes closed as he listened to their communications. They don't know we're here. Jack looked at his crew. What's the plan? We can't just knock on their door. We don't need to, Kelly said. She touched the wall of the ship, and it showed an image of the inside of the Vizzeri station. The Shadow can see inside. Look. They all stared at the image. Inside the station, Vizzeri scientists moved around equipment. In the center of the main room was a black object that looked very similar to the central column of the asterisk shadow asterisk. They have their own version, Olivia whispered. Just as I feared. They found the same technology. But they don't understand it as well as we do, Pete said. Their machine isn't complete. Lisa pointed to a section of the station. There are human prisoners there. They're experimenting on them. Jack felt sick as he saw humans in clear cells, with wires attached to their heads. Why are they doing this? Testing brain patterns, Doug said, somehow knowing. Like they did with you, Jack. They're looking for humans who can connect with their version of our ship. Jack made a quick decision. We're going in. We need to rescue those people and find out what the Vezari know. How? Lisa asked. Even with our ship, we can't fight a whole station. We don't fight, Jack said. We use what makes the asterisk shadow asterisk special. Shade, can you extend your field around us? The thing that disabled the scout ship. Yes, the ship replied, but only for short periods. The crew will feel uncomfortable. They prepared quickly. The ship created spacesuits for them that were as black as its hull. Jack, Lisa, and Doug would go, while Pete and Kelly stayed with the ship. Olivia would monitor their health. Remember, Jack told his team, we're not there to kill. We want information and to free the prisoners. The asterisk shadow asterisk moved closer to the station, sliding partly into the strange space between dimensions. It passed through the station's outer wall, as if it wasn't there. When they stepped out of the ship, the world looked different. Colors were wrong. Sounds came before the things that made them. The Vezari moved slowly, as if in a dream. The field is working, Olivia's voice said in their helmets. Their technology is barely functioning. But hurry, this is hard on your bodies. They moved through the station like ghosts. The Vezari could barely see them, just black shapes that disappeared when looked at directly. They reached the prison section and found 12 humans in cells. We're here to rescue you, Jack told them as Lisa opened the cells. Can you walk? The prisoners were weak but determined. As they helped them toward the ship, Doug stopped suddenly beside a large door. In here, he said. This is where they keep their records. Inside was a Vezari with elaborate crystal formations on his body, a sign of high rank. He was frozen in place, staring at a screen filled with the same strange symbols Olivia had been writing. Doug stepped forward and touched the screen. Information flowed into his mind. I can read it, he said with wonder. The Vezari High Command has been lying to their people. The war wasn't about religion. It was about the alien math. They found it first, on one of their moons. Then they discovered humans had found it too, on Titan. They attacked us because they were afraid we'd master it first, Jack realized. Yes, and they were right to be afraid. Doug pointed to another screen. Look. The screen showed images of both Earth and the Vezari homeworld. Above each planet was a mathematical formula. What does it mean? Jack asked. It means, said Doug, that whatever guided both our species to build these ships is coming. And it's coming soon. As alarms finally began to sound through the station, they hurried back to the asterisk shadow asterisk with the rescued prisoners and their new information. Jack's mind raced. Their mission had just become much more complicated than ending a war. Back aboard the asterisk shadow asterisk, the rescued humans were weak but grateful. Jack arranged for them to rest in the empty crew quarters. One of them, a scientist named Bill, had been captured while studying alien ruins. They asked me so many questions about the math, Bill told Jack. They're scared of something bigger than humans. Meanwhile, Olivia and Doug studied the information they had stolen from the Vezari station. The ship's walls display the alien symbols all around them. I think I understand now, Olivia said. The math isn't just a tool. It's a language, a way to talk to beings that exist in higher dimensions. And both humans and Vezari were given pieces of this language, Jack said. But why? To prepare us, Doug suggested. Maybe these higher beings need our help, or want to test us. Lisa, who had been guarding the door, suddenly spoke up. Or maybe they're farmers preparing their crop for harvest. An uncomfortable silence fell over the room. The idea was disturbing, but it made a certain kind of sense. Shade, the ship's AI, spoke. Approaching Vizari fleet detected. Decision required. Jack looked at the display. The main Vizari fleet was still gathering, now with over 300 ships. Earth had maybe 50 ships left that could fight. What are our options? Jack asked. Original mission. Activate the dimensional drive in the center of the Vizari fleet, Shade replied. Alternative. Attempt communication with higher dimensional beings. Can we do that? Kelly asked. Talk to them directly. Theoretical possibility exists, Shade said. The Shadow was designed as both weapon and communication device. Jack thought carefully. Their mission was to end the war and save Earth. But now they knew the war itself might be part of a larger plan. If we talk to these beings, he asked, what will happen? Unknown, Shade admitted. No previous contact recorded. Pete, who had been quiet, suddenly gasped. His eyes rolled back, and he began to speak in a strange, flat voice. They are watching. They have always been watching. The test is not the war. The test is what you choose to do with the knowledge given. Then he collapsed. Kelly caught him and helped him to a chair. What just happened? Jack demanded. The dimensional field is thin here, Olivia explained. Pete's mind is sensitive. Something reached through and used him to speak. Jack made his decision. We'll continue with the original mission, but with a change. Instead of attacking, we'll try to communicate, with the Vizari first, then with whatever is beyond. They sent the rescued humans to the back of the ship, where they would be safest. Then the Shadow jumped directly to the edge of the Vizari fleet. Alarms immediately sounded on the enemy ships. Weapons charge. Fighter craft launched. They see us, Doug confirmed. They're ordering all ships to attack. Open a channel to their flagship, Jack ordered. I want to speak to their high commander. Channel open, Doug said after a moment. But they're not answering. Then we move closer. Jack looked at his crew. Take us into the middle of their fleet. The Shadow disappeared, then reappeared in the center of the Vizari armada. Hundreds of ships surrounded them, weapons aimed at the small black vessel. Now they're responding, Doug said with a small smile. A face appeared on the wall. A Vizari with elaborate crystal formations covering most of his features. His eyes were narrow with hatred. Human vessel, he said in a harsh voice. You dare to invade our fleet. Your death will be slow. High Commander, Jack replied calmly, we know the truth about this war. We know your leaders lied about why it started. We know about the alien mathematics both our peoples discovered. The Vizari's expression changed to shock. How could you? We have the same technology you've been developing, Jack continued. But ours works. And we have a choice to make. Use it as a weapon and destroy your fleet, or work together to understand what the beings who gave us this knowledge really want. The High Commander was silent for a long moment. Then a different voice came from behind him, older, wiser. Let me speak to them, it said, before it's too late for us all. An old Vizari stepped into view on the screen. Unlike the others, his crystal formations were clear rather than colored, and they formed patterns like writing across his skin. I am Elder Kren, he said. I am the last of those who first found the equations on our moon. I have been silenced for speaking the truth. The High Commander looked uncomfortable, but did not interrupt. You have built a functioning ship, the Elder continued, studying the Shadow. We have tried but failed. Our scientists say the ship requires harmony between dimensions. We lack this. What do you know about the beings who left these equations? Jack asked. They are ancient. They exist in spaces between what we call reality. They have watched many species discover their messages. The elder's voice grew sad. Few passed the test. What test? Lissa demanded. The test of cooperation, Elder Kren said simply. The equations cannot be fully understood by one species alone. They require different minds working together. This is why our attempts failed. Our leaders refused to consider working with humans. Jack looked at his crew, then back at the elder. We're willing to cooperate now, but our ship's drive is about to activate. We're not sure we can control what happens next. Let it happen, the elder said. It is time. Suddenly alarms blared throughout the shadow asterisk. Kelly rushed to check the systems. The dimensional drive is powering up on its own, she shouted. I can't stop it. The central column in the bridge began to pulse with bright light. The walls of the ship became transparent, showing the Vezeri fleet surrounding them. But something was happening to space itself. It seemed to bend and stretch around them. All crew, brace yourselves, Jack ordered. Shade, what's happening? Creating dimensional intersection, the eye replied. Translator field activating. The light from the central column expanded outward, engulfing the ship, and then spreading beyond it. The Vezeri ships nearby were caught in the light, but instead of being damaged, they simply stopped moving. Time itself seemed to pause inside the field of light. And then something new appeared in the space between the shadow asterisk, and the Vezeri flagship. It was impossible to describe properly. It shifted between shapes, sometimes looking like a complex geometric form, sometimes like a cloud of light, sometimes like a network of energy. It existed in more dimensions than the human eye could see. They're here, Olivia whispered. Words appeared in everyone's minds, not in English or in the Vezeri language, but somehow understandable to all. Asterisk we for this moment asterisk. Who are you? Jack asked aloud. Asterisk we are guides. We are UVATCERs. We PREPARE the way asterisk. For what? The Vezeri elder asked. Asterisk for Eviolution. For Asian asterisk. Images flooded into their minds. Countless worlds, countless species, all finding the same mathematical message, all building ships like the shadow asterisk. Some succeeded, many failed. Asterisk your kindies stand at HCROSSROADs. UAAV VFFOGHT. WJN UUSHOULODAVJOIND. UAAV HEE WKE. Hen. UUSHOULDAAV asterisk. It was our mistake, the elder admitted. We feared humans would master the knowledge before us. Asterisk, all PCs are needed. One mind alone. KNNOTGRASP the whole asterisk. The beam seemed to expand, becoming more complex, more beautiful. The light from it touched each person on both ships, human and Vezeri alike. Asterisk, UAVTAKNT Forest Steve. UAVCHOZ in communication over destruction. This is good asterisk. What happens now? Jack asked, feeling both fear and wonder. Asterisk now, you must decide. Together asterisk. More images filled their minds. Earth and the Vezeri homeworld side by side, working together. Ships like the shadow asterisk exploring the space between dimensions. And beyond that, something greater, a joining of minds across species, across space, across reality itself. Asterisk, this is DHEPATH. Will you be the ALKIT? Asterisk. Jack looked at the faces of his crew, then at the Vezeri on the screen. Centuries of distrust and 17 years of brutal war stood between them. But for the first time, he saw a possibility beyond conflict. We're willing to try, he said simply. The elder nodded slowly. As are we. The beam of light pulsed with what felt like approval. Asterisk, then, the war in dias. And your next journey begins asterisk. The return to Earth was not simple. The Shadow led the way, followed by 3 Viserys ships in a gesture of peace. Behind them, the rest of the Viserys fleet had turned away from its planned attack on the Sol system. "They won't believe us," Lisa said as they approached the lunar defense perimeter. "Our own people will shoot first and ask questions later." "They might," Jack agreed, "but we have to try." Doug opened all communication channels. "Earth Defense Force. This is the Shadow *. Commander Jack Wallace speaking. We are returning with Viserys representatives. The war is over. I repeat, the war is over. Do not fire." Tense minutes passed as Earth's defense ships moved to surround them. Admiral Miller's voice finally came through. "Commander Wallace, your mission was to destroy the Viserys fleet, not bring them to our doorstep. Explain yourself immediately." Jack took a deep breath. "Admiral, we've made contact with the intelligence behind the alien mathematics. Both humans and Viserys were being tested. The war itself was part of the test, a test we were failing. But now we have a chance to pass it together." There was a long silence. Then, "Dock at Luna Base. Armed guards will meet you and your guests." The next days were filled with tense meetings. Jack, Olivia, and Elder Kren explained what they had learned to suspicious human leaders. The crew of the Shadow found themselves changed by their experience. They could still sense each other's thoughts, still see patterns others couldn't. News of the ceasefire spread across human colonies. Some celebrated. Others, who had lost too much to the Viserys, protested. Similar divisions appeared among the Viserys people when they learned their leaders had lied about the reasons for the war. A week after their return, Jack stood with Olivia in a garden on Luna, looking up at Earth. "What will happen to the Shadow *? He asked. "They want to study it," she said. "Take it apart, figure out how it works." "That would be a mistake," Jack said. "The ship is more than technology. It's alive, in its own way." "I agree," came a voice behind them. Admiral Miller approached, looking tired. "Which is why I've decided to give the ship back to you." "What?" Jack was stunned. "Our scientists can't make sense of it anyway. And the Viserys representatives insist that you, all of you who crewed that ship, are now something different, changed by your experience." "We are," Olivia admitted. "We see things differently now." Admiral Miller nodded. "Then your new mission is this. Take the Shadow * and work with the Viserys to understand what these higher beings want from us. Be our ambassadors to whatever is out there." 3 months later, the Shadow * departed Earth orbit. Its crew had grown to include both humans and Viserys. Kelly, whose connection to the ship was stronger than ever, had discovered new abilities in the ship's systems. Pete could now navigate through dimensions with growing confidence. Doug had learned to communicate directly with the higher beings, though only in brief moments. As they prepared for their first jump to a distant star system, where another piece of the alien mathematics had been found, Jack addressed the mixed crew. "We don't know exactly what we'll find out there," he said. "The higher beings have shown us possibilities, but the path isn't clear. We only know that humans and Viserys were meant to explore it together." Elder Kren, who had insisted on joining the mission despite his age, nodded in agreement. "For too long, we saw difference as threat. Now we see it as necessary. Different minds bring different understandings." Jack looked around at his crew, humans, and Viserys working side by side, learning from each other. The war had cost millions of lives and nearly destroyed both civilizations, but from that darkness had come a new beginning. "Prepare for dimensional jump," Jack ordered. The Shadow * hummed around them, responding to their combined thoughts. As the ship slipped between dimensions, Jack felt the presence of the higher beings watching with what seemed like approval. The lone black ship that had entered the battlefield, and ended the war was now leading both species towards something greater than either had imagined alone. And somewhere in the spaces between reality, new equations were being written.